Okay, folks, if you'll turn to tab 1, the red tab, TIRZ tab 1, and take a look at the minutes. I don't have anything here. Maybe it's under,
But they were in there.
There was a mail out, and we had it, you see it, Chairman.
Yeah, if they were mailed, I'm almost positive. I'm good.
All right, anyone else missing that from their
Well, I
package?
jumped to the green, wait a minute. Was
The
it
red minutes, with
yeah.
that,
I'll share.
remember that. Read it. You think?
I
Okay,
don't have you.
we will, if you will give us just a moment, we'll make a copy of those. Apologize. You gotta go. Give us just a minute. No, I think
Good, thanks.
we have enough. Amy, I think
We're good. We're good.
the chairman
Okay.
can have yours. Please confirm that that is what was sent out. I believe it is. John, did we miss you? Did you have it? Okay, good. All right.
Okay, so if everybody's had a chance to review, Chair will accept a motion to accept the minutes. Been moved.
I'll second it.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? Okay, motion carries. Okay. All right, we'll suspend reinvestment zone number 16, City of Houston, Texas meeting and call to order Uptown Development Authority meeting. And we'll turn to the green tab 1. Should be your minutes.
And
May 22nd.
Yes.
Everybody got that? Request a motion to approve the minutes. We have a chance to review. It's been moved. Is there a second? Lisa, thank you. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Any comments from the public?
Betsy, has anyone signed?
Okay, no one's here. Okay, let's move into our quarterly review, which is tab 2, page 5. Shannon, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. We have before you the Uptown Development Authority quarterly investment report for the period of April 1st through fiscal year end June 30th, 2019. This first page outlines those balances that we have in our capital projects fund. At the end of the period, we had roughly $1.4 million with Capital One Bank as our primary depository and where we write checks. We had just over $2 million with Regions Bank, which is where we have our note program, and we request funds from that note to be deposited into this account to fund our projects. The second major section is our infrastructure fund account. At the end of the period, we had just under $68 million for the period. This is the Bank of New York Mellon, which is our trustee. You will see $28 million coming into that account. That is the City of Houston tax increment that we receive usually about this time. What is missing is the HISD increment, which was received just after the year end, around July 2nd or so, and that's about $10 million. That's the gross increment. What we will do is we'll give a 2/3, 1/3 split and send some of that to the affordable housing funds. You see at the end of the period, it was just over $1.2 million. But those funds will get shifted and moved around in appropriate buckets. And what will end up happening is we'll end up sending to the City of Houston roughly the $15 million for their affordable housing program. And you'll see that transacted in the next quarterly report. So those are the balances at the end of the period. Page 2 of the investment report kind of outlines those things that require pledged collateral as outlined in our investment policy. Capital One Bank, those are demand deposits to the tune of $1.4 million, and we are sufficiently collateralized there with approved investments, which are primarily treasuries and agencies of the United States government. Regions Bank, those balances are collateralized above the $250,000 insurance as well. The Bank of New York Mellon, those funds held with trustees are in approved investments. They're primarily Dreyfus Treasury Prime Management Cash Fund, which is kind of like a money market fund. And we have just over $21 million invested again, those are invested in, US treasuries and agencies, very liquid and short term. The second section is the compliance with the investment training. We are in compliance. The next training is due in May. And then lastly, just a list of approved broker dealers. Are there any questions or concerns regarding this report?
Okay, let's move to our invoices then, which is page 7.
Okay, so what we have here are the list of invoices that we're requesting approval for the, May through June that we've received. The first page kind of outlines those reimbursements that goes to the management district. That first section, you see just over $798,000. Some of that is for a project administration fee and, that the district pays that the TIRZ pays the district. You'll also note that $637,000, that's the payment of the developer agreement fee that the UDA is obligated to pay the district, so you see that coming to $798,000. The middle section are the professional services fees for the Post Oak Boulevard project. You see that we're asking for just over $350,000 worth of invoices to be approved. I'll also note that since this is coming up on the summer season where we don't have regular monthly board meetings, I'm also requesting in the highlighted yellow authorization of about $450,000 to cover July and August invoices should the board not meet. And once we do meet, I will let you know what invoices were paid, but we don't expect it to be much over that $450,000 for 2 months worth of invoices from these vendors or consultants. The second page of our list of invoices to be approved, we're requesting $743,000 and a little over that for invoices that we have ready to pay now, requesting your approval. And again, I'm thinking not to exceed $1.5 million for the months of July and August. That is a little bit bigger because as we're ramping down on Post Oak Boulevard, we are building up on Memorial Park. That's probably more than we need, but we have design fees for that Memorial Park Line Bridge project. So as you're approving the $743,000 actual invoices, I'd like to ask that you also give us room and authorization to pay July and August invoices from these consultants as well.
If I could just add a couple of comments to this. This has been the board's historical practice that when we aren't having, when it's very difficult to get board meeting quorums during the summer, that you give us a bit of room to pay a lot of the smaller consultants and contractors. For the contractors down below where we are paying major capital improvements, those are contracts, and we'll be able to pay those throughout the summer as long as we have proper signatures, et cetera. But it is basically take care of some of the smaller firms and their cash flow to be able to pay them as their invoices are presented. We then come back after the summer, and we will recount to the board everything, all the checks that were written, and you will have an opportunity to review that and I guess approve it again as well.
So basically, we have 2 actions. One is the $450,000, which covers over the summer, and then the existing invoices of the $700,000+.
There's 2, Shannon. It's 450 and 1.5. So at about 1.95, is that what you're asking for?
Yes, and that, again, that is just authorization. That is not the total of any invoices that we received. That's just room to pay people in the absence of a board.
So the first part is more related to Post Oak Boulevard. In the second part, the 1.5 on the second page is yeah, much broader.
Mostly for Memorial Park,
Okay.
as those design fees.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think it's 1.95 million total authorization, not necessarily spend, to pay bills that come up while we're not meeting.
But the 1.5 is actual invoices, and the 450 is up to a certain amount.
So
If we have.
on page 8, if you see the grand subtotal of $1.9,677,000, those are the invoices that we're requesting payment for now. You'll see under the UDA
Shannon, I'm not seeing 1.9, I have to add it up as 1.5 and 450,000.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So, very clearly, the 8 million are contracts, you've approved those. We're presenting this for your information, you really aren't taking action on that. The 1.9 are current bills that need to be paid that are listed in those columns. Then, the second action, Mr. Chairman, would be the 450,000 on page 7, the 1.5 on page 8, and for 1.95 million, which would be an amount not to exceed probably for our August board to pay for July and August. Okay?
Is there a motion to approve?
So we add those two together, so it's 450 plus 1.9.
No,
It's total 1.9.
it's 450 plus the 1.5 on page 8.
Yeah, okay, it's down
That's
here at the bottom.
1.95.
On page 8.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
So there's the 8, I see it.
You see it?
Excuse me.
I thought, okay.
450
Yes,
is,
I'll make a motion.
you thoroughly confused us now, Jim.
Yeah.
You happy?
Somebody just pointed page, it might help me a little bit.
Just stay in your lane, brother. We can do this.
Leave Shannon alone, y'all be just fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, is there a motion to approve as,
I made a
all
motion.
right, is there a second?
And then there are just the follow-up pages.
Any discussion? Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Thank you. We're gonna carry on, Shannon.
Then we have the DBE, report for the month, and, the first page on 14, the top half kind of gives you the cumulative effect from inception through June of 19. The goal of professional services is 24%, we're at 38% cumulative, construction 17%, and we're at 22% cumulative. The bottom half of the page, we take a, fiscal year look, again, with a 24% goal for professional services. We have 61% participation from DBE and SBE vendors, and then for construction, with the 17% goal, we have 23% participation from DBE vendors. And then the follow-up pages kind of give you more information on who those vendors are. We also have the chart on page 18 for professional services, followed by page 19, which is a more detailed breakdown of how those DBEs line up between women, DBE, and the like. And then pages 21 and 22 kind of show the construction side of it. Are there questions or concerns regarding the DBE report?
All right, we'll turn, hearing none, we'll move to tab 2, page 23, which is your budget for 18-19 audit.
Yes, sir, thank you. We're also requesting authorization to engage with Whitley Penn for our FY19 audit of the Uptown Development Authority. Last year, the fee was $19,750, and we are holding fast to that $19,750 for this year. And we would like to get authorization to move forward and engage Whitley Penn to perform our FY19 audit.
Shannon, did you mention, here I go to messing with her again, but did you mention that you attended the RFP? Your request
I
for
did not
proposal?
mention that, but yes, this is the last one under this arrangement, and I intend to solicit requests for proposals on our auditors just to, I think it's a good practice to do every so often to go out for an RFP, and we will be engaging audit firms for that.
How long have we been with the existing firm?
So, since I've been here, which is a long time, the last time, they were Noel Larson when I first started here, and they've gone through, they got sucked up by Whitley Penn. The last time we went out for an RFP was about 6 years ago, and they won the bid again. We kind of looked at, quite a few firms, and went through that whole process with a subcommittee of the board, and kind of went that route, and we selected them again.
6 or
also,
7 years, that's about the normal cycle.
yeah, that's about the normal cycle, and I reached out with some of the counterparts at the other, management district, for instance, downtown. I don't think they've had their same person that does their, management district, I'm sorry, their TIRZ audit. They've never switched because the price had been always, comparable. And I think they just recently switched for auditors with the person that does their management district. So I kind of reach out to my counterparts to see who they use and what the prices are and how often they change. So I think we're in line with best practices.
They give you a better deal if you tell them you're gonna use it for.
Yes, they do, yeah. When you just say, hey, give me a 3-year proposal, they usually fix it there and then with a couple years option, so.
So you need a motion to approve the agreement, the letter agreement? Okay, it's been moved, second? All right, it's been properly moved and second, further discussion, all in favor say aye. Motion approved. Okay. All right, John, we'll turn it over to you if we go to page 24 under tab 2. And,
We're asking that you add Masters Advisors LLC to our list of approved consultants. That doesn't take any immediate action. Any agreement we have, we can't do work with anyone outside of what's been approved by the board. The city has to approve it, but Masterson Advisors offer financial advice as we look at funding. We too are considering going out for RFP for financial advisory services. Not necessarily unhappy with who we've done business with for a number of years, but it has been a number of years. And so we're visiting several. Yes, sir.
This is Matt Masterson, the one they called him that, used to be at under their new house years ago.
His son, I think.
And the dad's still alive.
I don't know that he's with the firm, but he's still around, yeah.
The son's probably late 40s, early 50s. The dad would be.
The dad's 80.
Yeah, that's probably the same. Yeah.
No, they're good people.
Yeah. If I could have a.
Motion?
I'll
Yes.
move.
Second?
all in favor say aye. Any questions? Okay, move on. All right, Don, let's see what else you got here. Page 25, tab 3.
Tab 3, page 25. We are asking you today to consider amending 2 of our general contractors' contracts. That is due to a scope increase. And I have a little presentation that I'm going to try to take us through, if you don't mind, and explain exactly what we're asking to do. We've got graphics that will show you this, but historically when we started this project, when we took our original bids, the southern portion ran from just north of Westheimer down to a street called Fairdale. And that's about 800 feet, 600 to 800 feet north of Richmond, right there by the apartment complex. That was an area that at the time was being designed by TxDOT. We did not include it in our original scope, and TxDOT was going to build it. As TxDOT has tackled the reconstruction of the West Loop, it's become clear there are certain things that they're interested in doing, and there are certain things that they aren't. They are highly capable of pouring concrete and steel, but building sidewalks, putting in pedestrian lighting and things like that. So what we're bringing to you today is to amend a contract to put the Post Oak Boulevard improvements from Fairdale down to just south of Richmond, a little over between 1,200 and 1,300 feet, almost a quarter mile. There's also an element here called transit elements. These are the things Metro needs as part of their operation. Things like communication systems, ticket vending equipment, etc. And then there is also down on West Park Street, we have to provide access to the transit center. This is a project funded out of our capital improvement program, which has been carried as a street project for a number of years. And then there's some minor things like station paving and tree grades included in this as well. Again, ask questions as we go along here.
Yeah, so, question, so who had been doing these, if not Raytech?
This photograph kind of shows exactly. This is the little street I said, Fairdale. And so TxDOT, this is literally Post Oak Boulevard is in TxDOT right away at this location. TxDOT was going to build this southern portion of this from Fairdale, actually all the way over to West Park. And so what they really aren't very comfortable doing, and we're not comfortable doing, they were going to build 5-foot sidewalks. We're building 12-foot sidewalks. They're certainly not doing pavers. Got to put in our pedestrian lighting. You got to do the landscaping in the middle, and that's just not something they're willing or they desire to get into. We have a matching fund that we paid them to go along with the federal grant to build some of the roadway and other improvements down here in this area. It is our hope that we can negotiate with them and get some of that money back. I have been successful and both unsuccessful in trying to talk TxDOT out of money. But the bottom line is they'll go ahead and build the roadway, both northbound and southbound. They'll build the bus lanes, but we'll do the traffic signal at Richmond and Post Oak Boulevard, our stainless steel poles and arms. They don't want to deal with that. We'll build the platforms that for the stations just north of Richmond. That was in their scope. We'll take over that responsibility. And then to go along with that is doing the primary and secondary electrical work. And then we'll have to install our pedestrian lighting, the trees, our landscaping, our sidewalks, et cetera, down Richmond. Again, it's a fairly significant piece running from Fairdale on the right-hand side, on the north side there, through the intersection. You can see the northbound station here, and then the southbound station located there, and we'll go to just south of Richmond Avenue, about 200 feet south. The other piece that we're having to that we are asking you to consider amending our general contractor's contract is building the intersection that provides access to the transit center. That will be a traffic signal there. And then we will also have some very minor widening of West Park Street, ranging from 0, literally, to maybe as much as 5 feet. What that will allow us to do is have a continuous bus lane or left-hand turn lane for transit coming to the transit center. Give you just a little bit, and I apologize if this isn't easy, but basically what we're going to do is create, which is here, a very long left-hand turn lane for the bus. The cars can't turn left here. They have to go straight through. And then this same lane will give us an opportunity to have a left-hand turn into the transit center. As you can see here, sort of a cross-section down at the bottom, continuing 3 lanes for West Park Street, and then this continuous, essentially a left-hand turn lane that will be used by the transit BRT vehicles. Again, this is very confusing. This is our transit center under construction. This is probably taken on Monday. This is West Park Street. This is the toll road exit to
entrance.
Huh?
Oh, yeah, exit to the left, to the trailers.
Let me, I bet you I might be right. This is the exit to Post Oak Boulevard, and this is the exit to West Park Street.
Sorry.
See the note that he sent me about Shannon. All right, so the bottom line is this new train, the signal will actually be out here on West Park Street, and the buses will be able to drive underneath the exit of the toll road into the site as shown here. All right? That is how automobiles and the BRT vehicles and local buses will get access to the transit center. And we got shots over here later, but the buses that are coming off of the bus lanes on the Southwest Freeway actually come in at the third level. So these are important pieces that's been carried as part of our budget, and so just wanted to give you why we're asking you to do this today. Another view of how that access to the transit center works. The Post Oak Boulevard, adding those physical improvements on the south end of the boulevard from Fairdale to Richmond. We're doing the Metro Transit Center elements, and then the physical concrete and landscaping and other things, as well as some minor secondary pieces. This ILA you approved in February 28, 2018. In there, the transit elements are a $5 million commitment. That is a not to exceed amount, and for convenience of, really for efficient management and operation, Metro has asked the UDA to be the contracting mechanism to actually pay for the things they need on their facilities. What those elements are communications, cameras, public address systems, changeable message systems, ticket vending machines, ticket validation, all the things that you need to kind of be in operation. There also will be conduit work, fiber optic work, as well as some electrical work. And so we would be the contracting mechanism. This will be, when we really get down to what we're recommending, the general contractor will get this amended contract, and then Pfeiffer and Sons, who is Metro's contractor as well as our contractor. So there's agreement on who should be doing the work. They're knowledgeable, they have experience, will actually be spending or doing the work that consumes this money. So we went out, we have 4 general contractors we're working with. The north section, middle section, the south section, as well as the group Weber who's building the transit center. We asked for proposals from each of these general contractors. We got 2 responsive proposals back to us. And we are recommending that the section of Post Oak Boulevard from Fairdale to just south of Richmond be given to Raytech to amend their contract. So $5 million of that, really, Raytech will simply be passing that through, paying for work that is required to support Metro. The $4.2 million will be for the physical improvements down in that area, as well as some minor changes such as putting the pavers on the transit stations, etc. Total amount not to exceed $9.2 million. If I may, I want to just give you sort of the whole big ball, and then we'll back up a little bit. These 2 different actions. We asked the same 4 contractors to give us proposals to do the West Park piece, and Harper Brothers was the lowest cost and most responsive, and we are asking you to amend their contract in an amount of $2.1 million. 2 different actions, but to really complete the rest of the physical improvements of tying us into the transit center and doing the very tail end of this project at Richmond. Questions? Yes, sir.
Is this additional money whether we had not programmed before?
This is money we have programmed. We had, it didn't have a home. It's budgeted. That $5 million is there.
$5 million had a home. The rest is additional money.
There is. Go ahead.
$5 million has a home, it's in our CIP. The West Park widening is in our CIP, had a home. The budget in the CIP is $3 million, so it's a little bit less than what the award is here.
How much is new money? Is that a simple question?
It is, it's not, it's a simple question, I don't know if I have a simple answer. The easiest thing to say is, the 4.2 is additional money, but in fact, we're taking money from various pockets to make it available for
I know
this.
But
Yes.
I just want to know how we get to Memorial Drive.
We got Andrew working on that. All right? But that doesn't equal the 500,000 to do those improvements. Yes.
My question is regarding, so in both of these, it says that they were the lowest cost. Were there, in their response, were there any differences that would make it a lower cost? Or were they apples and apples?
So I'm
literally?
gonna keep Robert close to me on this, but the bottom line is, for example, on the big pass-through with Raytech, they offered a significant savings in what they would take as part of being the administrator of the contract. They were a little bit different on the concrete and steel, if you will, but there was some pretty significant savings in what the pass-through was.
Okay.
The other was that Raytech was just cheaper than, Harper Brothers was just cheaper than Raytech on West Park Street in the intersection improvements. Anything else? Mr. Chairman?
All right, hearing no other discussion, is there a motion to approve the contract for, let's see, the increase in scope for the bus rapid transit?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? You got 3 seconds.
We go as a group.
We do.
Girl
We
power.
stick together like that.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no? Okay, motion passes. Okay. All right. Now it's time to receive an update on various projects, John.
If I could, I'd give you, as we go through this, I think as you drive down the boulevard, you see we're finishing up. We're in the details of this. And I wanted to give you sort of an insight in where we are and what we think our completions will be. And so we're going to talk to you a little bit about signals. These are kind of the big pieces remaining: signal stations, pedestrian lighting, and landscaping. There are lots and lots of details to go with all of this, but this is try to summarize this just a bit. So let's talk about traffic signals. North of San Felipe to the West Loop, our signals are turned on and operating. The signal at the West Loop frontage road will be turned on, what did Carolyn say, I think within the next? August 1st. And so if you will humor me, the stainless steel is up, they're all wired up, they're ready to go, and I think basically the last one to get turned on is at the West Loop. So we're in good shape there. San Felipe is operational. On the middle section, we are ready, imminently ready to turn on Ambassador and Guilford. Lynn and the others will be turned on by August 5th. Carolyn, if you look at me with those eyes turned up, let me know if there's a real problem with what I'm saying. Mr. Tobby and I think this is pretty close. On the south end, Westheimer and West Alabama will be done by the end of August, first part of September, and finally the last two, Parkview and Hidalgo, be open by the end of September, 1st of October. The signal at Richmond will be done, and we really have to work with TxDOT on finishing that up. They have to get out of our way. It's very likely that this is going to be a November-ish, December kind of deal. It's going to be when we can get in after TxDOT. But this will have all the rest of the boulevard. Traffic signals operating up and down the boulevard. by the first part of October. Excuse me, okay. On our stations, really making a lot of progress on that. We will have, we have almost everything north of San Felipe is complete. As we look out the window, they're installing glass on the last one in that section right at San Felipe. And then the steel will be fabricated and bolted into place for the middle section by July 27th, and the south piece will be in place by August 15th. That excludes the two stations down at Richmond. Station glass is essentially complete north of San Felipe. The middle section we done. Takes about 5 days for each station to install the glass. That will be done by the first part of September, take all the month of August, and the south part will be done around the 1st of October. So we're making good progress of cleaning up the final details of the project. And finally, there's I keep equating this kind of to getting your kitchen redone or building a home. You pour a slab, you put the sticks up, you put a roof on, and the siding goes on, and you think you're ready to move in, and 6 months later you're done, right? The kitchen looks wonderful, and by the time it's painted, stained, it's taken a long time. The bottom line is that we'll be finishing up electrical, the lighting on the platform, signs and things like that by the end of October, first part of November. So if you want to just kind of get a feel for it, let me go back over here to.
And our buses won't arrive until when, sorry?
Buses, there's one bus in town. I was supposed to tell anybody what I mentioned. Anyway, there's one bus in town, but they'll get the remainder of the buses. Should be here before the fall, the end of the fall. And this year, yes, it is an intention because we want the transit center has to be complete, and that's end of the year. The West Loop bus lane has to be complete, and that's March of 20. And so we're really looking at revenue operations starting in the first quarter, beginning the second quarter of 2020. But the good news is that we're planting flowers. I'll get to the
Yes, that is.
I'll get to the picture of that. We, based upon this board's review and our recommendation, Metro Board of Directors will approve this month. Their committees have adopted it. These names for the transit stations. On the north end, it'll be called Uptown Park, then Four Oaks, and then we'll have San Felipe, our ambassador station here, Guilford. Then the only thing that's really unique is Westheimer and West Alabama will have the Galleria associated with it, probably the place people were looking for, and then again in the Richmond station. We made this presentation yesterday at the Metro Committee meetings downtown, and one of the board members said he understood them all, but he wanted to know who the ambassador was and who was Guilford. I couldn't help it. So, but they are being sent to the board of directors. What Thursday? What day of the month does Metro meet?
This time is next week.
Next week. Okay. And then finally, the transit center on West Park, serving the Uptown area. Wait for it. Is going to be called the Uptown/West Park Transit Center.
Lovely, that's so original.
Took a while to come up with that one, huh?
I'm glad we didn't steer far away. After reading the Chronicle this morning, it already told us this.
Yeah, okay. Then again, landscaping, we're jumped in, and as you go out of the building today, if you'll look in the meeting, we're actually putting in the turf, the grass is going in place, the roses are in place. Let me just say that at our transit stations, There are roses growing in the meetings. We'll see if we can take care of them. But again, we think that we'll be through the north section really the end of next week. We'll jump down to the south end and should spend the month of September. Have I got that right? We'll spend, I think I have this off of mine. So we're complete here, we'll be complete here at the end of July, right? Yeah, August 1, and so then this should be September.
In
Huh?
September, August 1st.
We'll be finished with the south end in September, not October.
You think
Apologize.
TxDOT will be finished in the middle of their road over here?
Are you talking on the north end?
I'm talking about 610 loop.
I think that they will be finished by,
2022.
yeah, no, March of 20. Now down on the south end, which is the question,
March of 20.
March of 20, the busway from Post Oak Boulevard up to Katy, just north of Memorial, will be done and operational by March of 20, next spring.
Now, does it go down Post Oak?
It
Does
goes,
come down and drive down the middle?
we have a video here, just a minute, the fly through, and you'll see how far it goes. There's one of the streets there is Oak something, and it goes about a quarter mile north of there. Oakford? Okay. And then Metro is making some improvements all the way up to their transit center, including across the bridge. So, good news is, if you drive out there, boulevards beginning to look like Post Oak. And believe me, we want to get to the point to where all we're doing is worrying about water.
Are we going to have our lighting and all of that this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yay!
Santa Claus is coming. Yes, Virginia. Yes, Virginia. It's gonna be great. And
John, how are the different entities working together? You know, the ones you're not running. I mean, how's the relationships working? I mean, I don't know.
you know, I have to tell you, Robert does a real good job of, and he has a lot of credibility and a lot of years of where he's just worked with agencies. We have no power or anything else, so it is goodwill, communication. We do step up to the table and do things a lot of other people don't. So having said that, I think that working with TxDOT, although they can accidentally step on you at times because they're just so doggone big, they're probably the best group I've worked with. If I sort of put it in order, TxDOT, the city, so it's going well. The Metro has really recently got very much involved in trying to get in and help finish this out, make it all work, and they're being very positive about that. City of Houston continues to work with CenterPoint Energy, believe it or not. You know, that's another giant that just, you know, there's, you know, the geologic age, they move at a slower pace than a lot of rest of us. But they're there. We did have a bit of a hiccup. We poured foundations for our switches and for our transformers at each one of our stations. And everybody, they reviewed the plans, approved the plans, etc. We're out there, they inspected them, we're good. And the guy who installs the transformers came out and go, no, you gotta turn these around. I don't have enough clearance to get access to it here. And so, what do you do?
Monday.
That was Monday.
Oh.
And so what do? You gotta
Yeah.
have, I mean, it's just a hiccup. And everybody was involved with that. We thought we were doing exactly what we wanted, and their engineers approved it. But the guy who installs the transformer says, no, I can't do that here. So it is not a horrible problem. We just have to break up some small foundations and do the work. But it's just that kind of thing happens even
That's
among
construction, yeah.
good partners in this. So, Robert, you got anything you want to add about partners?
Even toll roads.
Yeah.
From the start.
They've been what?
Very cooperative with us from the start.
Who's the ultimate over all this? I mean, the governor?
Project manager.
Who's, well, ultimately, the Texas Highway Commission, are, you know, the keys. But Quincy Allen, who is the district engineer, works with us. So I can't, it's hard and it takes a lot of hand holding, but it's working. I mean, if you'll think about this, the Toll Road Authority, Harris County, the City of Houston, the TxDOT, Metro, and we're trying to say, here, come on guys, go forward. And I think the simplicity of the project, it's hard for everybody not to buy in and want to make it happen. But I will tell you the biggest challenge we have now scheduled is that section from Richmond to West Park. And we thought that we had that in their construction package to do it on a schedule that we needed. The T-ramp, it was, but the little piece underneath 59 wasn't. And so we have been just using, pleading, I guess you will, and we've also worked it for you who have to drive through that Richmond intersection.
So
We're
that's
all
what
scooted
that
over
is,
to the
yeah.
west. You know why? To give Williams Brothers and TxDOT's contractor enough room that they can build it faster so that we can get done quicker.
Okay.
So that's kind
So
of,
they will have those 2 lanes then blocked off that are turning into Post Oak until they do the digging all the way underneath, is that correct? Because that's what's blocked off now.
I may have to get back, go back and.
The
I-
West Park North, when they complete that section to get the wall, the old wall that was there, there's
Mhm.
gonna be another ramp alongside of it. As soon as that's done, they'll have the pavement done, for us to work, and it'll all return to where it was before the interchange gets done.
We're gonna do a fly-through, and when we get that section,
I'll
we'll have
stop
to tell you
it.
to stop.
Yeah,
Such a mess, I don't know how they even know what they're doing.
it's horrible,
Somehow it gets done.
yes.
Just a quick fly-through here, and anybody wants to stop, again, John left, but when we get down here, you'll see that essentially, I think that TxDOT is building all the way down to here, and then Metro's gonna have lanes where they'll operate the bus lanes all the way up to the transit center. So you begin to go elevated at this point, right here at this little intersection. It becomes on bridge structure. And so if you need to stop, let us know, but we've sped this up so we can kind of, and you can see here that they've now poured the concrete in this section. And last weekend, they shut down the entire southbound West Loop, and they're gonna do that again this weekend. Don't get caught like I was. And if you could, Delia, I'm gonna ask you to stop this about right here. So, this has been constructed. You can see here then, we are swinging over into this, into the median. This was what was constructed, this straddle bent, and then this was what was done this last weekend. And hopefully they'll be able to extend over here and tie this into this area and be through with interrupting West Loop travel. We then, and I'm gonna, as soon as we get past this, if you'll stop it about right here, you can see, can you jump down there? Y'all don't get sick. Little feather, freeze it about right here. So you can see that we're, you know, at +1, and then this, as we go along here, it starts going lower and lower and lower, comes to grade in here, and then it will be cut and go all the way down to Post Oak Boulevard. We'll do our fly-in here.
This was planned how long ago?
2004 was when there was a commitment to it. It was designed probably a couple years before that.
So that means that 610 was worked on, that was when 610 was.
Yes, we worked very closely. That was one of the great successes, working very closely with TxDOT to get what we needed there. And down on the south end, when the West Park Toll Road was being built and TxDOT was working there, we got a portal, we got the right of way we needed underneath 59 built way back then, and we had the freeway widened at Post Oak Boulevard so you could come down way back then, and now it's coming into fruition by being used.
Look at the trees.
Landscaping, you can see going along here,
And then we had had an issue with the trees, that they had brought in the wrong ones.
and
And those,
we'll see down on the south end the difference. So go ahead, Dave.
You've been listening.
She has.
I hear everything, and once in a while, I remember it.
So you can see here, all the signals, all the poles and wires are gone. Nice clean glasses on the shelters
There's
here.
my old bank on the left.
Yeah, there we go. Wave, everybody.
It's
Well,
beautiful.
Now, this is just lovely.
Unbelievable.
It really is beautiful.
And your
They
hair
have
hadn't
fun
gotten
playing.
any grayer, John.
That's because Pam's keeping it fabulously fit.
This, coming around that corner to me, John, is,
Is as pretty as it gets, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Good friend Jim Scarborough talks about his view out of the 7th floor right there.
Does he?
Oh, that
Yes,
must be
he
In a
does.
fabulous.
good way?
Yes, he loves it. He loves it.
Transformation, right?
I wanna, if I can stop this right here, Dave. Sorry. Okay, so these are the double left-hand turn lanes. And this is the way Metro has historically separated their light rail lanes from the traffic. We weren't having a whole lot of success. Mr. Toddy, I'm talking for you, but the bottom line is, he is recommending that we actually build a concrete curb there to keep people, this is the bus lane, and we need to keep people from thinking this is a left-hand turn lane and getting in here. So we're gonna build a concrete curb, and I think we have it, just if you'll go around the corner, we'll show you an example. Todd, I was sitting at this intersection right here, and a gentleman on a motorcycle came up and got in the bus lane and made a U-turn. We realized then we needed to have more of a physical barrier. There we go, here we go. You can see here, that's what we're talking about, is adding.
Well, that looks good, though.
And look, that's great concrete. My personal opinion, we have to paint that yellow to keep people from getting ran over and having really problems. I think we do what we have to make it safe, and particularly early on. Right now, we think the concrete median barrier will be enough. If we need to do more, we'll do more. Robert, want to add anything to that?
We haven't got the pavement markings down yet, and that will help too.
That's what I was gonna ask, so it will say bus lane
A
on it.
lot of bus
correct?
only,
Okay.
that type of thing. Okay, go ahead. Can you imagine Post Oak Boulevard without tractors running up and down the boulevard?
That sure will be nice.
It's going to.
It's really awesome. Have a lot, you lost a tree?
We had a tree hit by a car
What?
up at Icon Bank, just north of San Felipe, and the gentleman was kind enough to leave his bumper and his license plate, and we're all over it.
Good.
Was it at night or?
I think it was,
Was it a weekend?
yeah, I think it was drunk Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Oh.
I went to church.
You can see
Yes, of
here,
course.
you see here where, again,
I'm sorry.
tell Robert, I mean, it's just frustrating for those of us who don't know what he knows, to know how much fiber and how much of the controllers and Carol and he are working and to get all this done. So this is Pfeiffer and Son that's doing our work. He'll also be doing some of the work for Metro. Go ahead. Robert, step up if you don't want to. I don't want to stand now that you get all this done. I'll take all the credit. It's looking good.
We know, Robert, we know.
Well, if people are gonna hit those curves, makes you wonder, do you need something more vertical than,
Are you talking about here, or are you talking about
the
here?
bus lane curve that your motorcycle got, was in
Yeah.
the bus,
Well,
you know, those, I don't know.
the candles, I think they're called.
Well, I mean, you get them, they bend,
Yeah.
but
I'd like, they are so easily destroyed, I'd like not to, and they are ugly as heck.
they come in white, I
But
found out.
if you'll take the frontage road from Westheimer, West Alabama, and turn to Hidalgo, they just get massacred.
Okay.
People running over.
Yeah,
They're not all that, so I hear you. We'll follow that and find the answer to it.
was before the curve.
Yeah, there
That
was,
was when it was the
But
buttons.
it wasn't a curve there.
yeah, right.
It was the buttons, the orange
Okay.
ones.
Check your calendar for August the 16th.
Keep going.
We're thinking in Colorado, but I'll check.
As you can see, I mean, it's hard to perceive any real
4:30
differences.
until 10.
Trees in this area that were a problem have been replaced, and so you can see there's not a terrible difference. This tree right here is gonna have to be replaced, but I think down here on the south end, you might be able to pick up the differences.
Are we done voting?
Yes,
Oh,
we're through.
Sorry, I have to be at Space and Houston at 5:30.
Oh,
You better hurry.
Yay.
It is the 8th of the anniversary. Yeah, doing that anniversary. Thank you. John, before Dot leaves, I'm sure she'd like to join me in just thanking the staff for the outstanding job that's taken place, all the coordination that's happened to make this a reality and being so close to actually seeing BRT come to life. I've been watching television and seeing the Metro commercials and got a nice article in today's paper about it. So Houston really seems to be on board with this project, so salutes to you guys. It made it happen.
I'll be in touch.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, and
Thank
I
you,
thank you
John.
for Robert and all the folks that have been doing all of
Yes,
this.
it's fantastic.
We are now building the sidewalk in here in the trees. We'll be landscaping down here the month of August. So by the end of August, we should, the area should look a lot closer than what it's ultimately going to look like. Now you can see, about right in here, can you see the difference in the trees? It's a couple of feet difference. And then this is the area, so you had some questions.
So right there, where people are turning onto Richmond.
Right here.
So we're coming from this side, don't ask me north or south or
Okay.
whatever, but over here on the left-hand side.
Yes.
As we're on Richmond, trying to make our way underneath
Yes,
the highway to turn onto Post Oak.
yes,
It used to be that they only had the one lane that was blocked off. So picture it, you're coming from Richmond
yeah,
and there are 4 lanes, right? And the one lane is turning to go
north, up to west.
south, yeah, whatever that is, again, that way.
Coming this way is
Coming
north.
this way, they have now closed off 2 lanes underneath the highway.
That's a very recent short-term thing, I think.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah,
I
because
went
up
through that,
until
yeah.
last week,
Yeah.
they had 1 lane, and
Yeah.
that was fine, people were still able to, but now people are combining 3 lanes into, and it was,
So the right-hand lane, you know, a lot of people always cheated as they're going west. They get in the left-hand, the second lane, to get up there and cut across. But now everybody's having to move over. So, yeah, I've driven through that myself. I believe that's a short-term problem. They're doing some utility work up there. So there's gonna be 2 new ramps in this area, one going to Sugar Land, one going to downtown. We'll be able to go back in and re-landscape the pond on the south end. This is the flight.
No, West Park. I mean, yeah, West Park.
This should be West Park. So all this was kind of the difficult part, and we've sort of sacrificed going north on Post Oak Boulevard to make everything, give them more construction area here. Sorry for the slowness of our drone. I know it's.
This was shot yesterday.
So those panels were the walls that are on the side, they're gonna redo that wall, and that's what's really conflicting with the toll road. So the toll road's cooperation to move over here, and everybody else's disruption that causes this gave them the room that they needed to work and hopefully get it done before the end of the year here. Let us get in there.
Robert, you might, once we get up here, Delia, where they're doing this construction, Robert, you might tell them, so right here.
So the grade changes have to be done, so they're just removing what they can and do what they can before they have to go over the toll road. Which is down the crest there.
The toll road's down here, 20 feet.
Bridge over it.
Yeah, and then there'll actually be a bridge built across right here, correct? And then it will then go up to the intersection where they'll be given opportunity for a right-hand turn. Go ahead, Dale.
So I think they're trying to orient.
Question?
I'm just trying to get oriented.
And I'm the wrong
Shannon's the
person.
wrong one to
I
ask.
am.
Okay.
Yeah, well, she said that.
If we back up just a second and just do this old-fashioned way, okay? So we're at Richmond in just a minute, okay? We're at
Okay.
Richmond, looking
Gotcha.
south.
Gotcha.
Chick-fil-A used to be right there. No,
Gotcha, okay.
we go through, this is what was built back when West Park was constructed. And we paid for the widening of this. And go ahead. And so this right here, stop. That was done, I think it was around '04, wasn't it?
Yep.
'04, '03, somewhere in there. And we actually, they widened their cut and we actually paid them to do that work.
Very cheap back then.
Yeah, I like those prices.
Can we let it run?
Okay,
Right.
go.
Can we let it run?
Then we're gonna finish it up here and go down. If I see a real good shot of where the intersection's gonna be, I may get you to hold
You
it.
kind of see the middle there, that would be the left turn.
Right in here.
Is that walk?
Yeah, so Micro Center is over here, Walmart's to our left, this is the nursery. We bought 100,000 feet, Metro had 30,000 feet of a siding. We actually put together a condo that we both own some of the dirt. Now,
That's the
freeze.
second level.
freeze
which is the
that.
Parking level.
Okay, so you can see now, this is coming in at what is the third level of the garage. This is the second level. Robert will have parking. So and I believe this is like, we're like one pour away from having, there we go. So once they get out to this point, we'll have that second level floor poured, which will be parking. And then we'll be working on that third level where the buses from Sugar Land will come in and then actually be the transit center up on top.
How many parking places for cars would that hold?
There's 239 spaces there, and if you wanted to build a parking garage or had financial resources to build a parking garage, we basically do a 750 car garage in, I think, 6 levels.
So who do you think will park there?
The idea is that you'll go to your Sugar Land park and ride lot,
Right.
and you get on the bus and you come up here, and so you shouldn't have people fighting the Southwest Freeway traffic and then parking there. Maybe some right, what we're tying into is coming from Sugar Land, okay? Then go here, now I'm gonna go down here and I'm headed to town. This is the Southwest Freeway HOV lane. And so you go down here, you go underneath 610, and then you go back into the middle of Southwest Freeway, and it takes you all the way into downtown, or at least to the exit.
So in theory, the starting locations is gonna be out in Sugar Land in the morning,
Yeah.
bringing people in.
Same thing on
Here,
290 and.
going out to downtown.
Yeah.
So there's two buses, all right?
Are they those really long buses?
Yes, well, the buses that are on the HOV lanes are very frequently over-the-road coaches, not articulated. It's almost, they're almost, I almost call them Greyhound kind of buses.
Yeah.
They're really meant for long travel. As ridership increases, I could see Metro using Arctics, and you may use Arctics. I think we're getting a head shake that if they don't, they could. It's designed so they could use Arctics or the bendable in the middle buses.
They don't fuel there, you won't have any fuel there for that.
No, no. This is really a place to transfer. That's the key here. It could be a place you drive to, but the idea is really where people on buses transfer. All right? I'm gonna ask Andrew, if he will, to give you an update on Memorial Park, and then we'll be done. Andrew?
Yes, sir.
As soon as she gets you there, this is yours. You don't let her.
You want to drive?
No?
We overloaded it.
I hate to
This is
follow
where,
that.
this is why you do this. This is where
How
you
do I
start
follow
doing.
that?
Right?
As that's loading. So what Andrew's gonna do is go over where we're at on the Memorial Park land bridge project. Key things to know here is that the Uptown Development Authority will be the contracting authority for not only the design that you've approved, but also for hiring the general contractor and then having the contracts for implementation. Our partners are in that are the Memorial Park Conservancy, but we will be the contracting mechanism for how that's made. There'll be joint funding, but we'll hold the contract. I think that it may be a while, see if you can kill it and start over.
Yeah, the split is a 57, 43, split 57% BC, 43%.
Bottom line, key things for you to know is that design's progressing in September. We hope to have, by that time, completed enough design and working with with contractors that we have a very good cost estimate. This is about the third level that we've gone through. At that time, we will have, when do you intend to have a GC selected?
November.
We'll
And contracted, so late October.
Okay, and so there is a proposal that we will have a special called UDA board meeting, Wednesday, November 6th, the first Wednesday. And weeks mean a whole lot in this schedule. And so we're gonna, if Amy hasn't already sent you an email, we're gonna be asking you to put Wednesday, November 6th on your calendars as a board meeting. Is it working yet?
I'm getting there.
Once you hit, yeah.
Okay, go ahead and step up to the picture. So here's our concept, let's say begin with the end in mind. So you've got Uptown in the background, we've got two land bridges here and here. We've got Memorial Drive moved to the south about 100 feet. We've got new running trails, new hiking bike, and a prairie to the south. So John and I went up and there's a mound here of about 60,000 cubic yards where you can kind of see, and it looks like we're gonna have a pretty good view once these trees are removed to headed east, this is the view you'll be having coming down Memorial Drive. We're looking at potentially beefing up here to give you a little more feel of going into we're calling them underpasses, but they're kind of a tunnel effect. The budgets, we've got hard cost budget of 54 million, soft cost of 10.8, contingency of 5.6, and a total budget of 70.4. Again, the split is 43%, which equates to 30 million for us and 40.4 million for MPC. During construction, we came up with a brilliant idea. I don't know if Doan or MPW came up with this, but this saved us about $2 million. Instead of relocating the road twice, we're gonna simply use the existing lanes as the bypass, put 2 lanes to the east, 2 lanes to the west, and the Gunda's guys have already come up with a way with the city to approve this. So we'll be able to construct the, our part of the project here without really circumventing or having a problem here with the traffic. So we've done a level study analysis, and basically doing this, there's a negligible difference. So we can build the whole, we can do the tunnels, the call them underpasses, and do the structural stabilization and remove the traffic all in one shift, so you won't have a bunch of traffic issues. Pretty slick. Substantial completion, October 22nd, 2022. That still looks very good, very obtainable. We're in the design development phase right now. Pricing validation, John was just talking about, transpires in August, and then we'll check everything, and then we'll see if we have a good number in September. We have an industry day next Thursday, a week from today, to kind of present the project. We'll talk a little bit more about that. General contractor procurement then starts in September. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And then award contract in November. And then hopefully we start construction in July 2020 or earlier. So the general contractor procurement, here was our flyer that Delia did for next week, and then Industry Day, July 25th. We'll go over project scope and time, and we expect probably 100, maybe 150 people at this, so if things are well.
Where do you have it?
We're having it in the boardroom in Post Oak Central.
And
So we may have to
who do you, I mean, do you just put it in the paper? How do you notify?
Well, we did
Oh, I see. I'm
the
sorry.
journal.
I'd read it.
Yeah, that's okay. And then we also make phone calls and talk to people, et cetera.
Probably the most powerful way to do it is talk.
Yeah.
Call people up.
Just talk it
Try
out.
to get them, encourage them.
Because you probably have ideas who you want to use.
Well, I'll tell you that this is a job that several really good contractors could do. And we're probably very sensitive on 3 areas, and I'll talk about this, that is on price, on quality, and on schedule. And we think there are more than one who could do that. That group may not be more than 3 or 4 or 5, but there's 2 or 3 that we think that if we'll let the process tell us who it should be. The best thing that we can do is reach out to people and encourage them. This is not only good for the general contractor, but it's really good for the smaller subcontractors. This is a good way to get them to be proactive in working with MWDVEs and others to really get people aware of what the project is and seeing how they can plug into it.
John, how do you differentiate, or what is the law, how does the law speak to low bid, best bid? So that
Stephen, you want to talk to that?
Well, what we do in this particular type of procurement is we ask for a request for proposals where they have to give us their qualifications, but also they're going to give us a proposal on price. And then there's going to be a scoring matrix that's used to evaluate. So it's not just a low bid decision, but price is factored into the qualifications of the firm and their ability that they've shown to do similar work in the past.
So the very simple way to look at this is about 40% of the value is based on their qualifications and directly applicable experience. Another 40% of the weighting and values is based upon a number, a price. And the third element is based on probably oral interviews. What's key to this is that selection of the general contractor is based on those three things, but all the subcontractors, the concrete, the dirt work, the landscaping, well, all of that will be competitively procured. And at some point in this process, this converts over into a guaranteed max price contract. But we got to have a lot of hands-on input into who we select through qualifications as well as price.
All of the contractors that you would normally think of as a sub are going to be separately procured using a more standard process. Although I don't think we've decided exactly which one we're going to use, but it'll be something that looks a lot more like a standard low bid process that we go through when we're, say, doing concrete work on most of the boulevard or something like that.
And
We have two potential ways of creating the underpasses or tunnels. Cast in place is a 28-month schedule. No matter which we pick, cast in place or precast, we'll kick it off in July or earlier if I can have my way about it. If we go precast, we'll need a fabrication period of about 10 months to actually make the material in Schulenburg, Texas, just down I-10. And then we'll get the stuff out, start delivering in October, but again, back on site, July 2020. And you'll notice the cast in place, 28 months from July 2020, puts us right into the October of 2022. So we do have some float in the schedule, but that's tight.
It's made from concrete, right?
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of concrete, right?
And then here's just the timeline, and you can see how tight it is on getting this general contractor selected. September 16th, the RFQ goes out. I think this is gonna become a mandatory, so we can actually see who shows up, right? So we'll get a better idea of the interviews. Submittal dates, October 18th, notification of shortlisted interviews, the 25th. We interview the end of October, and then we're back here asking you to select on November 6th.
And who sits in on the interviews, sorry?
It'll be a panel of MPC, UDA, Memorial Park Conservancy, Uptown, Kinder Foundation, and contractors.
say in the city of Houston.
But, and the city,
And
that's,
Houston,
that's
City of
where I
Houston,
was
Johnson,
going,
City of
okay,
Houston.
okay.
So, thank you, Delia. By the way, Delia fixed this, so we could do this and highlight it. I apologize.
Sorry.
So,
It sure was lovely, Delia. Thank you.
Well done, Doug.
any other questions for Andrew on that?
Has anything ever been done like this before?
We are modeling this off of a Tulsa project.
Okay.
So we just went up there with the Kinders last month, which was really nice because they got the Kaiser fella to walk us around. So he's got a kind of, John could probably better describe. This park, our park is more natural, their park is more
Playground.
playground.
But it's, 66 being expanded to 95 acres, but an enormous budget, like $450 million. I mean, to go through it, it feels, this is not to be negative, almost feels like Six Flags
Yeah.
versus this is a walk in the woods. Memorial Park is much more of a walk in the woods. And, but it was very interesting. George Kaiser, owner of energy companies, Bank of Oklahoma, Bank of Texas, et cetera, quite wealthy man, was the tour guide, leading Mr. and Ms. Kinder around and then the rest of us. So it was a very interesting trip. And we've really learned quite a bit. We worried a lot, and I look at Steve, Don, and Ramesh, and Andrew. I'm the one talking, and y'all are doing 99% of the work here. But there was a lot of worry about the quality of the finish of the inside of the tunnel. And I think that we really discovered that you shouldn't chase that, because you're gonna spend a lot of money for negligible improvements, and that you really can't see it as you drive through it. And we literally, we were in Tulsa asking the driver, slow down, so we could look. And so whether there's a joint every 5 feet for the precast, or every 30 feet for a cast in place, both of them will have unique visual characteristics, but not one is better. And so I think we're very sensitive to budget and probably schedule, and quality is something we demand, but we're not going to spend millions to go get that last 1% that you simply can't see.
How long is it?
How long?
A little over 300 for the east ones and a little over 400 for the west ones.
And is there steel, I guess?
It's very well.
It's just going to be the.
Whether it is the cast in place, you have the rebar and all, but it's a concrete shell structure. And if it's cast in place or if it's precast, all these pieces are made with concrete and rebar and engineered and all
Let
that
us
good
know
stuff.
they're delivering, because I don't think we want to go a
Yeah.
freeway. I mean, you know, how in the world do you deliver something
They're
like?
big pieces, but they're not as big as some of the stuff you see coming down.
But there will be, and that's a
the
real impact to the
windmills
park.
and they're not as big as that.
No.
So the one thing we've tried to do is that unfortunately, there's not a lot of precast companies that can be in competition with the contractor that can build this, 54-foot diameter tube. And so we've kept cast in place and precast in the process to make sure that everybody's giving us the very best price we can get.
And that was a good comment of yours, because
Which
the
one?
54 feet
Uh-huh.
is actually broken in half, so these come in 2 halves, 27 and 27.
To
And then you put them
transport it?
together, yes, yeah.
It will still be a significant.
Yeah.
We have nothing else unless you have questions, Mr. Chairman.
That's amazing. Good job. Thank you.
Ready to do any of that?
That's the land bridge,
I think
right?
you've
That's
lost
what
it.
they call the land
Land
bridge.
bridge.
Yes.
There's nothing to do.
Okay,
It would
what's
be
the
washed
land
out.
bridge? I went,
See if the meeting would just be-
go on.
Yeah,
You can say we're adjourned.
May I ask, what days we're considering for the meeting in August?
If we can just, if the board is comfortable, we can just simply not
I think that,
have one.
the proposal is not to have a meeting at all in August.
Okay, thank you.
Well, no, I think it's good.
And then we'll pick up, we'll have a regular schedule in September, when
Yes.
it's back for vacation. And then September, October, and then probably a special call. We may even take the October meeting and not have it on our normal fourth Wednesday.
Because we're doing the
We're gonna do
sixth.
the November 6th, so probably make it easier on everybody to do that, if that's all right. We'll get word out. And so we have some open positions that we're working with mayor's office to try to get some new appointments and fill out the board so that we can go forward. When I know something, I'll let you know. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, was November the
6th is Wednesday, November 6th.
At what, is it at our time?
Yeah, 3:30 be fine. If that would work for.
Yeah, we would try to do it at 3:30.
Yeah.
Get a quorum then, that would be preferable.
Awesome. Thank you.
One last thing, Yvonne, did you want to introduce the new person that we?
Oh, this is Carnell Emanuel, former
Hello.
city employee, analyst with the economic development.
Economic development.
And now works for us.
I'm familiar with
Welcome.
You've seen our stuff.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No further business, meeting adjourned.